Hi, I'm Jen, and welcome to Christian Fire Poppy. I can't wait to share with you guys what has been plastered on church news. They are saying that the Elder Packer prophecy was fulfilled, and this was the same day that Elder Andersen posted this picture of him blowing a shofar with a rabbi in Argentina. Now, there are a lot of interesting things about this timing and the location where he is blowing this shofar. So, first, we need to catch up a little bit because things are happening so frequently that I am having trouble keeping up. Now that summer is here, my kids actually don't get out until the end of the week. So, I have been very busy going to graduation parties and other events. And this summer, when my kids are home, it is going to be so hard to get videos out. So we'll see how it goes. But we are going to be talking about signs in the heavens today because there are so many. So many things to look at and think about. And why are we looking at signs in the heaven? If that sounds weird to you, check out all of these scriptures that say that God's signs are in the sun, moon, and stars in Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. The heavens declare the glory of God. And in Alma 30, the scriptures are laid before thee, and all things to note. There is a God, yea, even the earth and its motion, and also all the planets which move in their regular form do witness that there is a supreme creator. So this always makes me feel curious. I get on Stellarium and I look at what the sun, the moon, and the stars and planets are doing. Will they testify and line up with what our prophet and apostles are saying? Wouldn't that be a pretty amazing miracle if we did see some things that lined up? Now, I'm going to be sharing some connections and observations, patterns, things that I see, and I'm not saying that anything in particular is going to happen on any particular day, nor am I saying that this is some official 100% correct interpretation. Rather, that I'm just going to share with you what I observe and how, in my mind, it connects to what the prophet and apostles are saying. And you can take a look and decide if these connections have meaning or not. And I like to use them as heavenly art or symbols that help to, as Elder Neil L. Andersen invited us to do this March of 2024. He says he invites individuals to hold divine images. What's better than heavenly divine images, scriptures, and hymns in their minds? And these things we can keep in our minds and hearts to help us navigate daily challenges. And I found that these beautiful things do help me navigate my daily challenges, and I hope they do that for you as well. And if we take a look at what is going on, so today is June 11th, 2024. And when I looked up what was happening in the sky on this day, I was interested because what first caught my attention was our prophet has been doing some interesting things with numbers and symbolism. And I noticed that the 13 new hymns came out and were announced 13 days before Hebrew Pentecost, which is also called Shavuot, and it is also called Feast of Weeks. So those are all the same holiday. And I thought it was odd that it was 13 hymns and it was 13 days before this big Hebrew holy day. I also noticed that the last hymn, number 13, is called Star Bright. And when I just did a quick Google search on what was happening in astronomy on June 11th, 2024, it says the moon will be near Regulus, the brightest star in the constellation Leo. So we have our Leo, the lion constellation, and the lion is a symbol of Jesus Christ. And here you can see we have the moon near Regulus, so the brightest star. And that just made me think of the new song, number 13, Star Bright. And then just a few days after I had that thought and posted the video, President Nelson invites us to celebrate his 100th birthday. Now, he doesn't come out and say that he was giving this invitation 100 days before. He just leaves it up to us, and Church News put it right out there that in 100 days, President Nelson will celebrate his 100th birthday. And his challenge was, he said, I'm soon approaching my 100th birthday. One of the places where the Savior used the number 100 in the scriptures was the parable of the lost sheep. Though 99 of his flock were safely by his side, the shepherd went in search of the one who was lost. At age 99, I have no need of physical gifts, he continued, but one spiritual offering that would brighten my life is for each of us to reach out to the one in our lives who may be feeling lost or alone. So, with that 13 and Star Bright in my mind, and now here he was doing another thing with numbers, which he does quite often. He did another challenge like this 40 days before the big General Conference 2020. He did not come right out and say it was a 40-day challenge to hear him, but it was exactly 40 days before that General Conference. So I decided to look up on Stellarium what was going on in the heavens on President Nelson's 100th birthday. And it's always funny to me because I just start with obvious words. I do a search and I think to myself, well, let's look for Russell. And here he was right here. And I had looked at that Regulus, the brightest star, and Leo the Lion, and I saw immediately that Mercury was exactly over that Regulus star. And also in that place, we had the minor planet, also called an asteroid, and its name is Rise. And I know on Christian Homestead, he has been talking about this same concept and how when President Nelson turns 100 years old, it can also remind us that in the millennium, we're told in scriptures that we'll be alive until the age of a tree, so until the age of 100. So this millennial imagery. And so how cool that the word rise is right there. If you think of rise or resurrection in the millennium at 100 years old on his 100th birthday. And there they are stacked up. So Mercury, Rise, and the star Regulus. And you can see the sun is right here at the lion's feet. And I decided next to look up the word love and the word joy because thinking about symbolism for our prophet, he is a skilled heart surgeon. And we always refer to him as our beloved prophet, President Nelson. So I just thought that was fitting. And I thought this was so beautiful. What I found on this day, which was 5 love and joy minor planets that are clustered in this area of the lion and the woman on his 100th birthday. So how perfect for our heart doctor. It's like a little birthday card for him in the sky. So the woman, Virgo, can be seen as a symbol of the church of Jesus Christ. And here is the lion, a symbol of Jesus Christ. And here we go. We have joy at the mouth and Lovejoy at the belly. For the woman, we have Lovelock right here, and we have Venus right here in the woman, and the word joy, Jin, Russell, and Joy Skates. And these are all the exact names of the asteroids. So I can show you, you can go to Stellarium and look this up. So let me show you live so you can see where these are located and how beautiful it is. Let's take a look. Okay, so you can see right here in the corner, we are on September 9th, 2024, President Nelson's birthday. And if we're looking at this, what came to my mind as being the star bright on this day, we have Mercury that's right there. There's Regulus and the asteroid called Rise. Now let's look for Russell. Let's see here. Russell is right here by the woman. And I really like how there is an asteroid called Joyce Gate. So you think of the gate to joy, and our prophet, President Nelson, has shown and shared with us the gates to joy, which are our covenants. He has talked so much about covenants and temples. So I love that the name Russell is right here. And here we have the gates to joy and the fruit. This is the grain. So spica is the wheat. This is the harvest. This is what we want to become, the wheat, not the tares, and to be good fruits unto the Lord. So there you go. You can see a few of those. Beautiful heavenly signs. And here's a close-up. You can see Venus, Russell, Joyce Gates, and all of our joys and loves of how it's 5. And our prophet really emphasizes making covenants that will lead us to the love and joy of our Savior, Jesus Christ. We make those 5 covenants in the temple. All right, so Elder Andersen blowing a shofar. So this is the Sabbath day of the week of the Hebrew Pentecost, Shavuot, and Feast of Weeks, which is all the same. Those are just different names for the same holiday that begins the evening of the 11th and goes through to the 14th. So is Shavuot always on Sunday? Well, it's significant that it was on the Sabbath that he posted this, because in Leviticus 23:16 it says, "Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days." Um, so some might think it needs to be on a Sabbath day. There's this link to the Sabbath day, but there's another way of interpreting it where they say, well, Passover is a special Sabbath day and that can be any day. Therefore, Shavuot can occur on any day. So it just depends how you look at it. And this is what Elder Andersen said with this post. He said, as disciples of Jesus Christ, we embrace good men and women everywhere. One of the wonderful blessings of traveling across the nations and cultures of the world is seeing that most people are good and thoughtful. Most love their families and want to help others. Many love God, pray to Him, and desire to please Him by how they live their lives. This was my experience recently in Argentina. So this immediately caught my attention, Argentina. As you know, I have been very curious about Argentina and Chile, those 2 locations, and I'll explain why in a minute. So he says, where I was invited by a rabbi to um, a very respected seminary. He called him Rabbinico Latin Americano. So I like this kind of blend of Latin America and rabbis. So we have the Jews and we have the people of Latin America. He said it was a night of expressions of love and understanding. And the rabbi was kind enough to share with me a gift, an actual shofar made from a ram's horn used in Jewish religious purposes, especially during Rosh Hashanah. So we had a wonderful time together. And Rosh Hashanah is also called Feast of Trumpets. And he says, the light of Christ illuminates all the world, and we rejoice with all those who try so hard to choose good over evil. Let us continue to build relationships and foster understanding with others we love and respect. So we have this location of Argentina, we have the Jews, we have Latin America, we have the ram's horn, and Rosh Hashanah Feast of Trumpets. So this Argentina shofar that's blown, so a shofar is like a trumpet, an ancient trumpet. It matches the signs in the heaven and God's timing so well in such a fascinating way. So Elder Andersen posted his shofar pic and the message on the Sabbath day of the Hebrew Pentecost, Shavuot, and Feast of Weeks. He is in Argentina while blowing the shofar. He mentions Rosh Hashanah or Feast of Trumpets. It can also be called in connection to the shofar. So that is the big shofar trumpet day. And 2024, so this year's Rosh Hashanah Feast of Trumpets Day is very interesting to me because there is a solar eclipse over Argentina and Chile. So how fascinating that he's talking about Rosh Hashanah. He's blowing a shofar while in Argentina. And we were already watching that date and looking for ways for why Argentina and Chile can be connected. So the midpoint eclipse day, so the day between the two great American eclipses of 2017 and 2024, there was a solar eclipse over Argentina and Chile again. So here's a visual of what has happened in these holy days. So this Feast of Trumpets and the eclipse that occurs over Argentina this year, this is 7 years after the Revelation 12 sign that happened on the Feast of Trumpets. So we have 7 Feast of Trumpets years. And here we go. We have an eclipse, and we had Elder Andersen blowing a shofar in Argentina and talking about the Feast of Trumpets. So pretty interesting. So what is Hebrew Pentecost Shavuot Feast of Weeks all about? Just a quick summary of some of the basic themes for this holiday. It is one of 3 pilgrimage festivals in which all the Jewish men would go to Jerusalem and bring their first fruits. It's 50 days from Passover, or 7 weeks of completion. It is known as a time of creation and new beginning. It is also linked to when Moses went up to Mount Sinai and received the 10 Commandments. Now, Moses's initial purpose in going up was he wanted to free his people from the slavery of the law, and he encouraged them to go up to Mount Sinai themselves to commune with God. But the people were scared and they would not. So Moses tried to establish this nation of priests, but the people would not. They said they only wanted to hear from Moses the prophet. They did not want to go up to the mountain, or as in our day, we'd say go to the temple and commune with God themselves. So this holiday is also connected to the shofar. So you can see here it says the shofar, a hollowed out ram's horn that is blown like a trumpet, is first mentioned in the Torah during Shavuot or Pentecost. In Exodus 19:16, it says, the verse describes a loud shofar blast on the morning of the 3rd day, accompanied by thunder, lightning, and a thick cloud that caused the people in the camp to tremble. So they refused to go up because all of that scared them. So Shavuot began as a harvest festival, but it also commemorates the revelation at Sinai and the giving of the Torah, so the 10 Commandments. All right. Oh, and I can't forget to mention other customs linked to Shavuot include reading the book of Ruth. So the story of Ruth is tied to this connection of the Jews and the Gentiles, and there's also a theme of wheat. And on Shavuot, they would hold up the 2 loaves of bread and wave them in the air. So we know that Ruth was a Gentile and she wanted to go. She wanted to be with Israel, with Naomi and Boaz, and she gleaned the wheat. So this is a harvest festival of wheat. So the reason we care about these Hebrew holy days is that God can still use these Hebrew holy days. We see that Joseph Smith received the Book of Mormon on Rosh Hashanah on the Feast of Trumpets. And there are other events that have happened on specific Hebrew holy days. And this just felt like such a significant event for him, and the location immediately caught my eye. So pulled up Stellarium to see if there were any horn themes, and I was kind of blown away by huge horn themes. So there's a lot of horn imagery in the heavens at the exact time that Elder Andersen is blowing a shofar. So, and the shofar can be a warning. It can also be, as it's linked to Rosh Hashanah, it points to the Day of Atonement. So that's the most holy or sacred Hebrew holy day. But if you look here at this theme of horns, we have right here, the sun, Venus, Mercury. So you can see Venus, the sun, and Mercury right in between the horns of Taurus. And right in the head, we have Jupiter. And here at the bottom, we have Uranus. And they're all in this Taurus, the bull depiction. We also have a minor planet, or you can call it an asteroid, and it is called Argentina. So if you look up Argentina, it is in the hand of the constellation Auriga, which has been anciently associated with a shepherd. So a shepherd who is holding horned goats or sheep. It can be goats or sheep depending on uh, what you read. So the horn, minor planet, also is at the foot of the horned ram constellation. So as I looked up the words trumpet and horn, there's only one name that really fit that. There were no trumpet asteroids, and there was this one, horn, and this was at the foot of the horned ram constellation, which I'll show you on my next slide. But this ties in to Shavuot or Feast of Weeks because this was the giving of the Ten Commandments. And Moses is said in the scriptures to have been horned, which means radiant or glorified after he sees God who presents him with the tablets of the law. And some people took that very literally. So this is the bizarre reason why Michelangelo's depiction of Moses, he has horns on his head. So um, they explain here that horns were not associated with the devil until fairly recently. So generally in the scriptures, horns are associated with glory and power. I also find it interesting that Taurus, through a lot of ancient Christian explanations of astronomy, that the horns are linked to the Jews and the Gentiles. So you can see here, I copied and pasted this. So you can see just one example of this explanation of Taurus being linked to the times of the Gentiles. So here you can see these planets, and I found it pretty fascinating that right here by Uranus, there is the asteroid named Ruth. So there we go, the story of Ruth. That ties in really well to our theme. And here is Argentina up here. Oh, and even one called Weeks. So the Feast of Weeks, and here's our weeks. And up here we have Argentina in the hand. So Auriga is holding Argentina. And something that's kind of interesting about that is this band, some people call it a whip, or they might call it a band, but this has also been linked to the bands of Pisces. So when I saw that, I thought I would look at the bands of Pisces. So you can see right here. So if you look at a more Christian approach to the Mazzaroth or to the story in the sky, it says that in his other hand, he is holding a pair of reins corresponding to the bands of Pisces. So bands of Pisces are the fish right here. And remember, this immediately reminded me of the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse that occurred. And it was right here in the band of Pisces of this fish. And if you think of these two fish as being Jews and covenant members of the church, you have this, you look at this fish as being a covenant church fish. If you go to the right, there would be Aquarius pouring out water, so the living waters of Christ. And you think of all of the house of Israel, and all of us are trapped by Satan. We get caught up in sin. You can see this Cetus, the sea monster here, holding the fish captive, and it is Jesus Christ who delivers us from these bonds. So it's kind of interesting that Argentina is in the bands of Pisces area of Auriga. And another link to Pentecost is that Auriga is shaped like a pentagon. So that's kind of cool. Now, before I show you some more connections to this, I'm just going to jump right into sharing how the Guatemala temple was dedicated on the same day as the Elder Andersen Shofar blast, at least the day that he posted about it. So this dedication fulfilled a prophecy given in 1979 by Elder Packer, who prophesied of the three Guatemala future temple locations. So you can see here, this is from the church news. It says, a prophecy fulfilled. This came out on June 8th. A look back at 45 years of faith as Guatemalan saints prepare for dedication of the Coban Temple. Now, the Cobans, this is the third. We have our Guatemala City Temple. There was the Quetzaltenango Temple that was dedicated, and the third and last that just happened on this Sunday was Coban, and Coban means shepherd. So keep that in mind. And we have President Nelson, who is just giving us a shepherd challenge to go after the one. So right here, we have this quote from Elder Andersen. He says, the identity and destiny of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints require that we be called by his name. I was recently in Kirtland, Ohio, where the prophet Joseph Smith, with only a few members of the church, prophesied. So this is a Joseph Smith prophecy that this church will fill North and South America. It will fill the world. The Lord described the work of this dispensation as a marvelous work and a wonder. So the covenants are spreading, and this heavenly imagery is just so beautiful, and it helps to kind of drive these words and these messages that the prophet and apostles are giving us deeper into my heart. And I'm going to hold these heavenly signs in my heart to remember them. So President Packer prophesied of these temples in Guatemala. So you can see right here, Guatemala, it is right in this band, right where that solar eclipse is. Now we have the Guatemala temple, and we also have an asteroid named Chile. So pretty interesting. And this temple that was dedicated called Bon, it's a Turkish name of Persian origin, meaning shepherd. And we have a shepherd asteroid that is right where Mars is. So we have Mars here next to Pisces. And I found it pretty interesting that I also looked up the theme of Shavuot, so Mount Sinai, and I found this. So Sinai, and when I looked up this spelling of Sinai, sure enough, it is a variant of the Jewish name, but it actually is borrowed from the Mayan language of Guatemala. So how cool is that? And so we had Mount Sinai, and I thought maybe if I looked up asteroid number 10 as a symbol for the 10 commandments, I thought that'd be pretty cool if it was close by. And there it was, asteroid number 10. Its name is Hygeia. But if we think of that as a symbol of the 10 commandments, we have the 10 commandments up on Mount Sinai. So if we think of this fish as the Jewish disciples of Jesus Christ who will eventually come to a knowledge of him. And here we have our covenant fish, and we have signs in the heaven pointing to amazing things. And not only that, but prophecies. And the prophet and apostles, there are actually quite a few articles talking about prophecy being fulfilled in Latin America right now, Central and South America. So here we have our Guatemala and Chile. And to make this even better, when we're thinking about the topic of the Jews and Gentiles, it was Paul who was the disciple and the teacher. He was over this conversion of the Gentiles and bringing them into Israel. And so we have Paul that's right here too. And he says in Romans 11:25, for I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So we know that Gentiles have the gospel, and at a certain point, we have the fullness of the Gentiles will come in, and we will start to see that truth flow to the Jews. Oh, and right here, where these two fish are connected to Cetus, the sea monster, could be a symbol of Satan. We are looking at, again, just this theme of the fullness of the Gentiles and the gospel going to the Jews. And what do you have right here? At the center of this is Jew. And Jewett is an Anglo-Saxon origin from the Hebrew name Yehudi, meaning Jew. So there we go. Pretty fascinating. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. So I love all this imagery of a shepherd gathering his flock. We know that this is the time for the gathering of scattered Israel, and that includes people all over the world. It includes the Jews and the Gentiles, North America, South America, people from all over. And we have this three-temple prophecy fulfilled with Guatemala City. And interesting connection here too is we have Quetzaltenango. And this Quetzal, so Quetzal is an important symbol in both Aztec and Mayan culture. Its name is derived from the word Quetzal, meaning precious or sacred, in several Mesoamerican languages. And if you remember back in my video about the Great American Eclipses, the April 8th, 2024 eclipse crossed and intersected over this area where it's known for the Birdman that's buried there, so a Quetzal man. And there are a lot of interesting Native American sites and mounds that were built there. Um, so another thing that I found as I was looking at this Christian interpretation of the Mazzaroth or of the signs in the heavens says that this is the message of Pisces, so the two fish, the deliverance of the captives, as evidenced by the position of the two fish in the land of their captivity. So it definitely reminds me of that concept as I look at the fish that are bound by the sea monster. It reminds us that Jesus Christ can save us from all of the sins that bind us. So this is also a slide from the Great American Eclipse slides, and this is where we were talking about the gathering of the lost tribes and how we're told that that will be a greater miracle than the parting of the Red Sea. So in Jeremiah 16:4, it says, It shall no more be said, The Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. And here comes that fish imagery. Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. We have President Nelson declaring that in coming days we will see the greatest manifestations of the Savior's power that the world has ever seen. So, could that be part of this great miracle that is prophesied in scriptures? I guess we will find out. So, these prophecies about South America continue to be fulfilled, and the church is posting so many news stories about how prophecy is being fulfilled in Latin America. So this article is 90-year-old prophecy continues to be fulfilled with upcoming dedication of the 19th temple in South America. So this is about the church news from 2018 in Argentina and the history of where South America was dedicated for the preaching of the gospel. So in 1925, three leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Elder Melvin J. Ballard, Elder Pratt, and Elder Wells, embarked on a 34-day journey by land and sea from Salt Lake City to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Of the trip, President M. Russell Ballard, acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and the grandson of Elder Ballard, said, My grandfather went out into the streets of Argentina. They did not have a great harvest. They did not see the people flock into the church by any means. Instead, they found an apartment to rent and went to work. On Christmas Day of 1925, in Argentina, Elder Ballard dedicated all of South America for the preaching of the gospel. He said, "Bless the presidents, governors, and the leading officials of these South American countries, that they may kindly receive us and give us permission to open the doors of salvation to the people of these lands," he prayed. Early in the mission, Elder Wells became ill and had to return to Salt Lake. Elder Ballard and Elder Pratt remained, walking the streets of Argentina, passing out handbills about the restoration of the gospel. So their efforts only resulted in one single conversion. Then, on July 4th, 1926, as Elder Ballard was preparing to return to Utah, he spoke about the future of the church in South America. From his office in Salt Lake City, President Ballard read his grandfather's prophecy. "The work of the Lord will grow slowly for a time here, just as an oak grows slowly from an acorn. It will not shoot up in a day as does the sunflower that grows quickly and then dies, but thousands will join the church here. It will be divided into more than one mission and will be one of the strongest in the church. The South American mission will be a power in the church." Now, this was a pretty amazing prophecy, and we are seeing this fulfilled today. I love how he uses an analogy of an oak tree, considering we have President Oaks, who is acting and a counselor to our President Nelson. And I also just wanted to share a quick story. So on Sunday, this last Sunday, as we are going into the week of Shavuot, I actually have a friend who was living in Guatemala and she was attending the church there, and she does not speak Spanish. And it was pretty awesome to have her fly back. So she moved from Guatemala back to Washington State. And I got to talk to her on the day that she flew in, which was the day of the Guatemala temple dedication. And we didn't talk about the dedication or any of these things. She was just telling me about her experience. And she said that the members of the church in Guatemala were the most Zionistic people that she had ever met, that she didn't speak Spanish, but while she was with them, they actually were so good at including her and even asked her to teach in a Relief Society, and they helped her out a lot. And they said that the kids would invite her kids to come over and they would just hang out and spend time together and were so loving, even towards them as outsider English speakers. So I just thought that was a cool story to add on to our look at this fulfilling of prophecy in Guatemala. So let's make sure to do the daily goal through September 9th, 2024, which is President Nelson's 100th birthday. Let's reach out to the one who may be feeling lost or alone, as he has asked us for his 100th birthday gift. Thank you for joining me today, Christian Fire Poppy. Let's bloom despite the doom and gloom like true fire poppies. A Zion field of many fire poppies will reduce erosion after fires. Join us for more fiery passion and preparedness as we fly into the second coming of Jesus Christ.